Hello, good morning. That's all the time that we have in order to wait for our classmates to be here. Let's start, shall we? Thanks to the ones that are turning your cameras on. Remember, that's the condition for the attendance. Yep. So today we're gonna work on 10A, unit 10A. Yep. Let's open up a little bit on it and let's take a look what we got. This unit is about mother icons, and we're gonna have the following. We have one section, the first section of reading. So let's take a look through the unit. Let me open for you also the book so we can see it in a better way. Remember, today we're gonna start on unit 10A. What we're gonna cover is the following. Here, when they refer to mother icons in this unit, we are going to have relative clauses, definite and non-definite. In the vocabulary, we're going to have compound nouns, and in the pronunciation, we're going to make a little practice about the word stress. As you can see here, when they refer to word icons or mother icons, the first one that appears as a character is Steve Jobs. Yep, that I suppose most of you are familiar with. Person related to the creation of one of the iconic brands in the history of humankind. Then you have other people that we are going to discover who they are. Yep. So you have here the brands. Then they continue talking about, well, the first one, the Macintosh Classic, Stephen Wozniak, that you know is this person that appears next to Steve Jobs. And that was, among others, one of the responsible for the creation of the boards and the program. Yeah. But then we'll see what material we have. Also, like we mentioned before, we're gonna take a little moment to work on the relative clauses. The relative clauses, once again, when we talk about grammar, maybe the name, it doesn't ring a bell. We don't remember by the name, but once you see the examples for in here using which, who, whose, which, or where, then we're gonna find that it's maybe you have used it. Yep, maybe you have used it. The numbers that you see next to the pictures in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all related to Apple. They are specified in here. Yep. They are specified in here. So let's see what we got through the unit. And then we'll go. Yep. And the compound nouns is when you put together normally two nouns. Okay. So here you see the examples, football. Yes, just an example. And like that, we can make joining these words, we can make a new noun. Yeah, sunglasses, for example, you put together and you have a new noun. Okay, but we are going little by little as we are going through all the activities in the platform. Remember that today we're gonna work on unit 10A. Okay, so let's start, shall we? Let me write it down what we got for today. This is our week number 7. Yep. Week number 7, and which means that next Sunday we're gonna have our exam, our final exam. Another thing is that I want to show to you. I want to show to you Altisha. Altisha, this is what I got. Yeah. So just to remind you of the 100% on the completion. An example, if I take Miss Velez, this is the report that I have according to your level. Let's see if it appears. There you go. So For example, here on Altisha level B1.2, 100%. So those are 2 points. Next week, before the exam, this must be completed. Yeah. Remember that if you got the 100, you got the 2 points. If not, you have a proportional. Okay. I'm just opening some for you to be clear what is the level that you have of completion. Yeah, the level that you have of completion. So over 2 points, then you can make the calculation, right? That percentage, if you multiply by 2, then you have your score. Until now, obviously, but you can finish this activity before the exam. Yes, the exam is the final grade, and then that's it. So the ones that haven't completed 100, you have this week until Sunday before our exam. Next Sunday, we have our exam, okay? So let's start. We are working on Unit 10A. Unit 10A. And let's see what we got. The first section that we're gonna work is reading. On reading, let's start on activity 1B. Give me a second to change the language. There you go. So I preview my quiz, I start my attempt, and what you're gonna find is the following. What do you know about Steve Jobs? Yeah, this one, this information, he was born in, is related, let's see, with, let's see if here we have some information. Yeah. You see, here you have in order to complete. This one, this activity is just a matchup. So let's work on that one. Let's work on that one together, shall we? So the first. Steve Jobs was born in, which option would you go for? San Francisco, Texas, or New York? If you have to guess, which one would you take?
San Francisco.
Okay, so there we have it. Thank you to the ones that cooperate. At college, he was expelled, he dropped out, or he was a star pupil. At college, actually, he's one of the famous reasons why some students in high school don't want to study university. The story of him is that actually he dropped out. Drop out is that you retired. You decide, imagine you're in the middle of your career and you decide to stop. So you drop out. Yep. Number 3, his first job with a company which made, and the options get
Video games.
video games. Very good. Number 4, the Apple Macintosh was the first successful computer to use. The big innovation about that one was
A mouse.
the mouse, exactly. That was the great innovation actually with the Macintosh. Number 5, in 1986, he co-founded, 1986, right? He co-founded, and the options we got, let's go for Pixar. Number 6, Steve Jobs died of cancer in 2011. Yeah. And he was, by the time, he was 56, I think. Yep. Let me check my attempt. And there you have it. So then we can listen to the audio. We're gonna listen to the audio just to confirm. Yep.
5.28. 1.
Steve Jobs was born in San Francisco in 1955.
2.
He dropped out of Reed College in Oregon after just 6 months.
3.
His first job was with Atari, the video game company.
4.
The Apple Macintosh was the first successful computer to use a mouse.
5.
He co-founded Pixar in 1986, the company that produced Toy Story.
6.
He died of cancer of the pancreas in 2011.
7.
He was only 56 years old when he died.
Okay, there you have the confirmation or the aid to complete our answers. There you have my attempt for 3 seconds, so you can finish yours. Number 1, San Francisco. Number 2, he dropped out. Number 3, video games. Number 4, a mouse. Number 5, Pixar. 6, 2011. And 7, 56. Yep. We are working on activity 1B, unit 10A. Yep. So there you have it for 2 seconds, and then I go to your results. I got already 6 attempts. Thank you so much to the ones that have started working on it. I got 8, but I need 3 more attempts. With the attendance, just to confirm, Sotomayor, Vélez, Cueva. Those are the ones that I have missed here. Yes, in my attendance, Sotomayor, Vélez, Cueva. The others, I check attendance already. Yep. So let's continue, shall we? Remember, we are working in unit 10A, activity 1B. Excellent, I get 10 attempts. I need, I think, 1 more, and we are complete on the attempts. We are waiting just a couple minutes so we can move on. Let's go back to the main page. We are started unit 10A today, and we just work on reading the activity 1B. Now we get to the section number 2, that is grammar. In grammar section, we are going to have complete the sentences with who, whose, which, or where. But that one is related to the information you got here. The title of the grammar is relative clauses. Let me see it here, just to have a better appreciation of it, of the material related to grammar. Let me just check the page is on it. There you go. So what we have, what we are going to practice today in this unit is what we call relative clauses. These relative clauses are defined in 2 types. The first type is defining relative clauses. What is it? That you're going to put extra information in the sentence, but this information is, like they put in here, essential. So a clause is a part of a sentence. It's a mini sentence that you have. Relative clauses, two types, defining and non-defining. When is defining? When the information that you add to the sentence is essential, is important. Yeah. Non-defining is when you add information, but it's not important for understanding the sentence. Let's take a look at the example, shall we? Julius, the woman who or that works in the office with me. If I only tell you, Julia's the woman, Julia is the woman, that sentence makes no sense. We need something more. We need more information. And then comes that you are going to add. Like we are talking about a person, Julia, you can use who or that. Julia's the woman who or that works in the office with me. Now it's clear who's Julia. Yep. Imagine I talk to you and I say, Pepito is, we don't know who we are talking about. So defining relative clauses, they are given to you important information. Okay. What is the clause? The clause is what comes after the connector. The connector is what you see there in blue. Who or that. Yep. Julie is the woman who works in the office with me, or Julie is the woman that works in the office with me. So when we are talking about a person, the sentence is about a person, you use who or that. The next sentence, it's a self-help book, which or that teaches you how to relax. The sentence is about a book. So now the connector that we are going to use is going to be which or that. Yep. It's a self-help book which teaches you how to relax. It's a self-help book that teaches you how to relax. You have the two options. For things, you can use which or that. For people, you can use who or that. Yep. Take a look at the next sentence. Please remember, if something is not clear, if we need more information, let me know. Yep. The next sentence, tell me what is the difference. That's the house where I was born. That's the house where I was born. They are using where. What is the change? I can say that a house is a thing, right? But why they are putting there where? Any idea? Take a look at the sentence. You use where when you want to talk about a place. Yep. Book is a minor thing. But when you talk about a place, you're going to use where. That's the house where I was born. So remember, who for people, which for things, where for places. Number 2, is Frank the man whose brother plays for Manchester United? Is Frank the man whose brother plays for Manchester United? Why we use whose? Whose is similar to say of whom, de quién. Yep. So that's why you got it in here. Number 2, it's a plant whose leaves change color in spring. It's a plant whose leaves change colors in spring. When you use whose, here you have it down, right? The reasons. Number 2, use whose to mean of who, of which. De quién o de cuál. Yep. Of who or of which. Number 3, I've just had a text from the girl who I met on the flight to Paris. This is the new phone which I bought yesterday. So regarding to the girl, we are going to use who. Regarding to the phone, we are going to use which. And here they give me the reasons. In the first group, all the sentences that are in group number 1, here you have the reason. Use the relative pronoun who for people, which for things or animals, and where for places. There you have the explanation to all this. Yep. Who, which, whose. Number 2, use whose to mean of who or of which, the quién or the cuál. That is whose. Number 3, who, which, and that can be omitted when the verb in the main clause and the relative clause have a different subject. She's the girl I met on the plane. That's why they put it between parentheses. What is it? I've just had a text from the girl I met on the flight. Why? The subject in the sentence is I. And then you have another subject that is girl. Like is not the same subject, you can omit it. It's not necessary. Okay? This is the phone, which what you're going to do, you're going to omit it. So this is the new phone I bought yesterday. New phone and I. You have like different subjects. That's what they refer to. Remember that in here, we are in the first type, defining relative clauses. So they are given important information. But what else we have? We have the second type that you have to the right. Non-defining relative clauses. What are you doing in there? You give extra information, but that information is not important. It's not essential. Let's take a look at the examples. The painting, you see what they put in red in here. What they put in red in here, the commas. This painting, which was painted in 1860, is worth millions of pounds. So when you're putting how I identify if they are defining or non-defining, they are non-defining when they are between commas. Also, if you eliminate that part, the sentence makes sense. This painting is worth millions of pounds. I can eliminate which was painted in 1860. The next one, last week, I visited my aunt who's nearly 90 years old. If I eliminate what is after the comma, I have the sentence, last week, I visited my aunt. So, makes sense, I can understand it. So it's possible, it's okay. Yep. So there we have the grammar. Relative clauses, defining and non-defining. Let's take a look what we got on our platform. And in the grammar section, we're gonna start with the activity 2A. With the activity 2A. Let's take a look. I preview my quiz, start my attempt. Let's see what it's about. So we're gonna complete with which, where, whose, or who. Number 1, the Macintosh Classic was the personal computer was made by Apple. The Macintosh Classic. It's a computer, right? It's a thing. Which one you use?
Which.
Thank you. So I drag that. Number 2, Stephen Wozniak is the American computer engineer. So we are talking about a person. Which one you use for a person?
Who?
Excellent. So number 2, who? Continuing number 2, who founded Apple Computers with Steve Jobs and Computer Designs became the original Apple I and Apple II computer. The designs of these people. So when you want to say of who, which one you use?
Whose?
Excellent. Whose computer designs became. Now we're gonna check, right? Number 3, Mona introduced Steve as her brother at the party she gave to celebrate the publication of her first novel. At the party, So which one would you use for a party? Like a place or a thing?
Where?
Which?
Place.
Okay, let's try for where. Now remember, let me check my attempt first, right? Number 4, Mountain View is the area in California the Steve Jobs Group. Mountain View.
Where?
Where?
Where? Okay. And number 5, Jonathan Mack's design used Jobs' silhouette incorporated into the bite of a white apple logo. Jonathan Mark's design. Which one will you use for that one?
Who?
Yours. So we follow that recommendation. Who? Okay. Let me check my attempt. Let's see how I do it. And then you can work on yours. Let's see what I get. Take a look. For the party, we are going to use which. Yep. And for the design, we also going to use. In number 5, they are talking about the design. Jonathan Mark's design. El diseño de Jonathan. Yep. So it's a thing, they use which. Take a look at my attempt. I leave it there for 5 seconds, and then I go to your results.
Mister,
Yes,
can I have the second attempt?
sure.
Sí.
Ms. Palacios, right?
Yes.
Please try it again. And let's wait some minutes for all our classmates to finish on this activity and we move on. Okay, let's continue. I go back to the main. We just work on activity grammar section. Remember, we are in the unit 10A. We got grammar section and we just work on activity 2A. Complete the sentences with who, whose, which, or where. Remember, who for people, whose could be used for people or things, but it's like the quién, the cuál. Which is for people, or sorry, for things, and where is for places. Here you have the explanation of the grammar, 10A, the one that I showed to you here. You got it obviously on the platform for you to check. Let's continue. So the next one that we have is Grammar Bank 1A. Grammar Bank 1A. As usual, let me open mine so we can take a look at it together. So I start on my attempt, and then we have more, or actually is similar to the last one, right? You have 12 sentences, and you have the connectors, whose, where, who, and which. So number 1, Rob and Corina have twins, often need a babysitter. We're talking about Rob and Corina, people. So we use the connector.
Who?
Who? Thank you so much. Number 2, Downing Street, the British Prime Minister lives, is in central London.
Where?
Okay, like a place, okay, where the Prime Minister lives. Number 3, the sandwich you made me yesterday was delicious. The sandwich, a thing.
Which?
Very good. Which? The woman lived here before us was a writer. The woman, a person.
Who?
Who?
Stieg Larsson, books. Now, Stieg Larsson, but here, books. They belong to Stieg Larsson. So, but we are talking about books. Yeah?
Whose?
So, Exactly. Whose. So here, be careful with the confusion. What I mean. Oh, I see the beginning of the sentence. I see a name. Oh, I'm going to put who. No, you continue the sentence. And in this case, you find books. So los libros de Stieg Larsson. Number 6, my computer is a lot faster than the one you bought.
Which?
Which? The Mona Lisa, number 7. The Mona
Which?
Lisa, which has been damaged several times, is now displayed between bulletproof glass. 8, look, that woman, that's the woman. And then you have dog,
Whose?
whose belongs the dog to the woman. Number 9, on our last holiday, we visited the Stratford-upon-Avon. Shakespeare was born.
Where?
Like a place, right? Sounds like a place. So I use where. We all, number 10, we all went to the match except Marianne,
Who?
who. Number 11, that man you saw at the party. That man,
Who? Who?
okay? And 12, that's the park I learned to ride a bike.
Where?
Where? Like a place. So let me check my attempt. Excellent, we got full score. Take a look at my attempt for a minute, and then I go to your results. Number 1, who, will refer to people. Number 2, where, it's a place, down in street. Number 3, which, will refer to a thing, is the sandwich. Number 4, who, for a person, the woman. Number 5, whose. We got a Stieg Larsson's, but the information is about his books. So Stieg Larsson, whose books. Number 6, computer, which. Number 7, Mona Lisa, one super famous painting, but still an object. So we use which. Number 8, whose, because it's the dog of the woman. Whose. Number 9, where, like a place, where Shakespeare was born. 10, who, we're talking about Marian. Number 11, that man, person, who, and number 12, that park, like a place, because you learn to ride a bike in there. Let's take a look at your results. I got 9 attempts so far. So let's wait just a couple of minutes for most of you to finish on these attempts. Perfect. We can continue. So I go back to our principal platforms page. Remember, we are working on unit 10A. Yeah, we just finished Grammar Bank 1A. Now let's get to Grammar Bank 1B. So let's click on it and let's take a look. What is the instruction? The instruction, look at the sentences, tick, to put a check, right? Tick. The sentences where you could use that instead of who or which. That you can use that instead of who or which. Yep. So I preview my quiz, I start on my attempt, and this is what you're going to find. We are going to check. What we are going to do is to tick where we can put that. Yep. For example, if Rob and Corina that who have twins, that in here I can put that. No. In number 2, that I can use that. No. In number 3, the sandwich, there I'm gonna put this one. Then you're gonna tell me the logic where we are putting, right? Let's see number 4, the woman. The woman. Number 5, Stieg Larsson. No. Number 6, my computer. Okay. Number 7, no. Number 8, if you remember, we use whose. So it's not an option, right? It's only between who or which, where we can use that. So number 8, impossible. On our last holiday, where Shakespeare was born, and Stratford upon a boat. Number 10, we all went except Marion. So on that one, we leave it. Number 11, that man. So that man, I'm sorry, let me just scroll it again. That man. And number 12, that's the pork. That's the pork. Now, what do you see in common to the ones that I put the tick? Let me first finish my attempt and take a look what I got. Let's see if everything is all right. Now, what you see in common, the ones that I put the check, the sandwich, the woman, my computer, that man. Why I put in that one that instead of who or which? Why do you think that happens?
The comma.
Could you repeat again?
The comma in the sentences. 3, 4, 6, and 11.
We got in.
Sorry.
You got comma, like you mentioned. You got comma, number 1, number 2, number 5, number 7, number 8. That one is different because you don't use who or which. In that one, we use whose. So that one is out. You have a comma in number 9. You have a comma in number 10. But what happens? That's the part. Remember 12, we use where, not who or which. So exactly. When you're going to replace, when is it possible to replace? When is it okay to replace who or which with that? When you see the comma, you remember, let me go back to the grammar. In which sentences you see the comma? The group on the left or the group on the right? You see the commas on the group on the right. This painting, comma. My aunt, comma. Where you use comma? When the information is not important. Yep. When the information is not important. Okay. So that's why here you have my answers. Take a look at my answers. Let's complete your attempt. I leave it there for 3 seconds. Remember that the ones that we mark are 3, 4, 6, and 11. 3, 4, 6, and 11. Let me take a look at your results. I already got 8 attempts. I should have 11 attempts. Just wait 2 more minutes and then we proceed. Okay, let's continue. Going back to the main page. We just finished Grammar Bank 1B. After Grammar Bank 1B, let's see what else we got. Another Grammar Bank, but now 1C. Grammar Bank 1C. Remake the sentences and add commas where necessary. Remember that that is related to the information presented in the grammar outlay. What is it? That basically you're going to add commas. If you take a look, the commas are added when the information is considered not important. So that's what they that's what they refer to. Yeah, when the information is not important, there you're gonna have that option. So they are called non-defining because you go like the house where I lived was constructed in 2000. So we have to make the consideration which part of the information is important and which one is not. Yeah. So that's what they are going to refer to. Remember that where we see the commas you see it on the non-defining clauses. Yeah. And as you can see, there is information that is between commas. What it means that you can use it, you can add it or not. That information is not important to understand it. Actually, if you eliminate it, then you understand the sentence. Yeah. So what they refer to, the first one, an example, the painting, which was painted in 1860, is worth millions of pounds. I can say the sentence without the information that is between commas. This painting is worth millions of pounds. And still, the sentence makes sense. Yep. So that's what they refer to with non-defining clauses. Yep. That's what they mean by that. Let's take a look what we find in there. Grammar Bank 1C. I start on my attempt and let me see. Remake the sentences and add commas where necessary. Number one. This is the place where John crashed his car. This is the place where John crashed his car. Like in here, you have information only about the place. This one, we're gonna keep it the same. This is the place where John crashed his car. Yep, we keep it the same. Why? The sentence, we need all the information so it makes sense. Yep, this is the place. It's not telling me the complete information, so I need it all. Okay, the castle that we visited yesterday was amazing. The castle that we visited yesterday was amazing. And
It
he,
is the same, I think.
in number 2,
Yes, Mr.
exactly. In that one, we're gonna keep the same because we need all the information. We need all the information to make the sentence complete. Yeah. Number 3, Beijing. So you type all the sentence, but we have to consider where to put the commas, which is one of the biggest, is one of the world's biggest cities hosted the 2008 Olympic Games. Now, in this sentence, it's possible that I omit part of the information. In here, you observed that the most important part of the information is that Beijing hosted the 2008 Olympic Games. That is the most important part, which means that I can put the other one between commas. What it means that I put between commas, that I can omit that information. That is not the important information we're looking for. In this case, for this sentence, yep. So Beijing hosted the 2008 Olympic Games. Yep, there we have. Number 4. Michael Jackson's Thriller which was released in 1982 was one of the best selling albums of the 80s. In here, is it possible to eliminate one part of the information? Where would you put the comma?
After 1982.
After 1992, and where else?
Or after Thriller.
And after Thriller. Exactly. So the comma is telling me what information I can eliminate. So Michael Jackson Thriller was one of the best-selling albums of the 80s. So I eliminate that part. Yep. Number 5. These are the shoes which I am wearing to the party tonight. If you read this sentence, there is no information that I can eliminate. These are the shoes which I am wearing to the party tonight. There is nothing that I can eliminate. I need all the information. Yep. Number 6. Sally and Joe who got married last year are expecting their first baby. Sally and Joe, who got married last year, are expecting their first baby. Is there a piece of information that I can eliminate? Is there parts of the sentence that I can eliminate?
Yeah. Who got married last year?
Exactly. So the ones that our classmate mentioned is the part of the sentence that I can eliminate. How I eliminate is the part that is between commas. Yeah. What it means to eliminate? It means that if you don't say it, the sentence still makes sense. Sally and Joe are expecting their first baby. It's a complete sentence, makes sense. So who got married last year is going to be non-defining clause. Non-defining clause is the naming grammar for the information that is not important. Yeah, for the information that is not important. Let me take a look at the score on my attempt with your assistant, of course, and let's see. Remember, be careful with the commas, the spaces, apostrophes. There you have my attempt. I'm gonna leave it there for a minute before checking your results.
Mister, can I get a second attempt, please?
Miss Fierro, yep.
Yeah, something happened. I put like the dot at the end of the sentence and it marked it wrong.
Sure, no problem. Please refresh and take a look.
Yes, Mister, thank you.
I go to your results now. Two more students, I need you to work on the activity. We are waiting, obviously, some minutes for most of you to finish on this. Okay, let's continue. Going back to the main page. Remember, we are working in Unit 10A. And with that activity, we finish the section of grammar. Yes, with Grammar Bank 1C. The next section that we got is writing. And there we have the activity 3A. Let's take a look what they are asking for. Write a biography of an interesting or successful person you know about. Okay, so let's write a very, very short biography of someone that you admire. Yeah, someone interesting for you. I don't know, from the viewpoint of a influencer, someone that is vital in your career. Yep. Let's work on that. Starting now, we're gonna get uh, 15 minutes. Yep, starting now. Remember the instruction. You have to work on a biography of an interesting or successful person you know about. Don't make it too extensive. Just 5 lines, 6 lines maximum. Starting now, 15 minutes. Okay, after the time that we took for the writing activity, it's time to move on. Let's take a look. So we just finished the activity on writing 3A. Let's get to the section number 4 of the unit. That is listening. Yep. On listening, in listening, we have the following activity. Let's begin on activity 4B. Now listen to an exhibition audio guide about them. Complete sentences. Review my quiz, start of my attempt. And obviously we have an audio track. And based on that, we're gonna answer this one. You're gonna answer this one. Yep. Let's listen together one time. And let's take a look if we can obtain some information.
(5.31) The London Tube Map.
By the 1930s, the London Underground had become very large. This made it difficult to show the new lines and the new stations on a traditional kind of map, and passengers complained that the existing map was confusing. In 1931, a designer called Harry Beck was asked to design a map which was easier to read.
On the first one, let's try like who designed the map. Yep, like keywords, just not to put everything under consideration. Yep. So we're gonna keep it like that, like who designed the map. Okay. Let me see what else we got.
His map, which was based on an electrical circuit, represented each line in a different colour. This map, which is still used today by thousands of people, both Londoners and tourists, is perhaps one of the most practical design icons ever. However, the London Tube Map doesn't represent distances correctly. People sometimes think if a place is one stop away, then it must be very near. But in fact, there's a big difference in distance between different stations. So, for example, Covent Garden Station is only 260 metres from Leicester Square, whereas the distance between Marble Arch and Bond Street, which looks the same distance on the map, is over 1 kilometre.
The London Eye.
The London Eye has become an iconic London landmark since it was opened in 2000 to celebrate the new millennium. It is a symbol of modern Britain, and it has been called London's Eiffel Tower. However, when it was originally designed by husband and wife team Julia Barfield and David Marks, people thought it would only...
Here we have to complete the second. Who designed the London's Eye? There we have the second one. the London Eye. Let's continue on the track.
Be used during the year 2000, the millennium year, or perhaps just for a few years more. Nobody expected it to be so successful. Today, it is one of the UK's most popular tourist attractions and is visited by over 3.5 million people a year. The wheel has 32 capsules, which each carry up to 25 people, and they give visitors views of up to 40 kilometres from the top.
Penguin Books.
Penguin Books was founded by a publisher called Alan Lane in 1935.
And is visited by over 3.5 million people a year. The wheel has 32 capsules, which each carry up to 25 people, and they give visitors views of up to 40 kilometres from the top.
Penguin Books.
Penguin Books was founded by a publisher called Alan Lane.
There we have the start. So Alan Lane, who, let me put it here, who founded Penguin Books. Yep, there you have the next one. And let's listen to the last part of the information.
In 1935, he was at a bookstall on a railway platform looking for something to read, but he could only find magazines. He decided that people needed to be able to buy books that were good quality fiction but cheap, and not just in traditional bookshops, but also on railway stations and in chain stores. Lane wanted a dignified but amusing symbol for the new books. His secretary suggested a penguin, and an employee was sent to London Zoo to make drawings of penguins. The first penguin paperbacks appeared in the summer of 1935. They included the works of Agatha Christie and the American writer Ernest Hemingway. The classic cover was invented in 1946. The books were colour-coded, orange for fiction, blue for biography, and green for crime. The way people thought about books had changed forever. The paperback revolution had begun. The cover designs have changed a lot over the years, but the original 1946 cover, which is considered a design icon, was recently brought back and is also used on mugs, notebooks, and other items.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album was the Beatles' 8th studio album, and it was released in June 1967. It includes songs like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and A Day in the Life, and it became one of the best-selling albums of all time. The iconic album cover was designed by the English pop artist Peter Blake.
Here we have the information to complete the fourth, right? Peter Blake is the man who designed the cover of Sgt. Pepper album. Yep, Sgt. Pepper album, just in case for the Beatles. Okay, so there we have the information to to complete this activity. I'm gonna leave it there. Number one, we're gonna complete it only with Henry Beck was the man who designed the map of the underground train or metro in UK, but we put it only the keywords, design the map. Number two, Julia Borfield and David Morix are the couple who designed the London Eye. Yeah, the London Eye is an attraction in the middle of London, similar to, it's a symbol like the Eiffel Tower in Paris. You have the London Eye, yeah, in UK. Number three, Alan Lane was the man who founded Penguin Books. He's a publisher, yeah, very famous in Europe. And number four, Peter Blake is the man who designed the cover of Sgt. Pepper album. In here, just to put it in the past, just in case, yeah. If you don't put it, not a problem, okay? But just to have it grammatically okay. So there you have my attempt With that information, you have to complete yours. Number 1, design the map. Number 2, design the London's Eye. Number 3, found in Penguin Books. Number 4, design the cover of Sgt. Pepper album. That is one of the famous albums of Beatles. Yep. There you have my answers for a couple of seconds, and then I go to your results. It's 11 o'clock. Starting now, we take our 15-minute break. Yep. So turn off the cameras, walk a little, and we are back in 15. Okay, time to come back. Let's retake it. The last activity we worked on before our break was 4B. We continue in the same section, listening. Let's go for 4C. Yeah, the same section of listening, 4C. Okay. Let me take a look in there. I open my attempt. Let's find out what is it. We are going to listen to the track, and then you have these options, right? So which icon is the most recent? And then you have this A, B, C, or D according to this one. Are the ones that we already worked on, the prior activity. One is like the subway, right? The tube that they call it in London, the underground train that they have. So that is A. B, they call it the London Eye. Yeah, it's well, the model is similar to what we have here in Guayaquil, like La Perla. Yeah, but then this is what they call the London Eye. C is the books published by the Penguin Books, the publisher. It's a company in charge of publishing books called Penguin Books. And finally, the Beatles, the design of the cover. Okay, so based on them is what we are going to listen to. Activities, information regarding those in particular. Yep. So that is the one that we're gonna listen to the audio, and we're gonna find out the options we have. Yep. Remember, we're going to select A, B, C, or D. Okay. Let's start with the audio. Let me see if I share the sound of mine. There you go. So let's start on it.
5.31. The London Tube Map.
By the 1930s, the London Underground had become very large. This made it difficult to show the new lines and the new stations on a traditional kind of map, and passengers complained that the existing map was confusing. In 1931, a designer called Harry Beck was asked to design a map which was easier to read. His map, which was based on an electrical circuit, represented each line in a different colour. This map, which is still used today by thousands of people, both Londoners and tourists, is perhaps one of the most practical design icons ever. However, the London Tube Map doesn't represent distances correctly. People sometimes think if a place is one stop away, then it must be very near. But in fact, there's a big difference in distance between different stations. So, for example, Covent Garden Station is only 260 metres from Leicester Square, whereas the distance between Marble Arch and Bond Street, which looks the same distance on the map, is over a kilometre.
The London Eye.
There we have the information for the first, and we're gonna take letter A, and we're gonna place it in number 2, and also based on that description, we're gonna place letter A at number 8. So the London Tube is the oldest of the ones that we are talking about, And also the problem is that in the distribution of the places, maybe for the distances, you believe that something is nearer than what they really are. Yep. So that one regarding A. Now let's get what they mentioned about London Eye, that is letter B.
I.
The London Eye has become an iconic London landmark since it was opened in 2000 to celebrate the new millennium. It is a symbol of modern Britain, and it has been called London's Eiffel Tower. However, when it was originally designed by husband and wife team Julia Barfield and David Marks, people thought it would only be used during the year 2000, the millennium year, or perhaps just for a few years more. Nobody expected it to be so successful. Today, it is one of the UK's most popular tourist attractions and is visited by over 3.5 million people a year. The wheel has 32 capsules, which each carry up to 25 people, and they give visitors views of up to 40 kilometres from the top.
Penguin Books.
There we have the audio track part regarding to B, that is the London Eye. In the London Eye, we take the letter B and we're gonna place it at number 1 is the most recent.
And
Oh.
number 7.
Excellent. Thank you so much. At number 7, another characteristic that was not expected to be popular. Do we have any other where we place B? For apparently no, right? Just number 1 and number 7. Let's continue on the track.
Penguin Books was founded by a publisher called Alan Lane in 1935. He was at a bookstall on a railway platform looking for something to read, but he could only find magazines. He decided that people needed to be able to buy books that were good quality fiction but cheap, and not just in traditional bookshops, but also on railway stations and in chain stores. Lane wanted a dignified but amusing symbol for the new books. His secretary suggested a penguin, and an employee was sent to London Zoo to make drawings of penguins. The first penguin paperbacks appeared in the summer of 1935. They included the works of Agatha Christie and the American writer Ernest Hemingway. The classic cover was invented in 1946. The books were colour-coded, orange for fiction, blue for biography, and green for crime. The way people thought about books had changed forever. The paperback revolution had begun. The cover designs have changed a lot over the years, but the original 1946 cover, which is considered a design icon, was recently brought back and is also used on mugs, notebooks, and other items.
Sergeant Pepper.
So for letter C, we are going to use, or we are going to match it.
Number 3.
Excellent. That is one good option. Where else?
4.
Number 3 and 4. Yeah. Any other letter C that you consider?
6.
Number 6. Okay. So number 6. So with that, that gives us that letter D. We're going to use it only on number 5. Yep. Let me, because of the time, let me finish the attempt. And let's see what we get. Excellent. So there you have it. There is my result with your assistance. Thank you so much to the ones that helped. Number 1B, number 2A, number 3C, 4C, 5D, 6C, 7V, and 8A. There you have it for a couple of seconds before I pass to your results. I go to your results. Excellent. I got already 8 attempts. Please remember, as much as possible, work on the activities during the class. So in any problem, I can check them as well. We're gonna wait a couple of minutes for all our classmates to finish on this activity. One more time, thanks to the ones that are working together with all of us and during the class. Remember the others, that is the optimal, right? That's the idea that you take advantage of the time of the class and work together on the activities. Okay, going back to the main page to see or to continue on the activities in Unit 10A. We just worked on listening for C. Now we are getting to the section. Let's take a look what we got in the section of speaking. On the section of speaking, we have the following. Let me show to you in here. What we are observing in the platform here refers to this ones. Yep. What you're gonna do, talk about or what Daddy suggests, right? Talk about your people, things, and places. Explain why you admire them. Here, a famous dead person who you admire, a famous living person that you admired, an iconic landmark that you really like. An iconic landmark is a building. It's anything constructed by the man in another country or in our country that you admire. The Eiffel Tower, London Eye, yeah, the Bridge of London. That kind of elements, Machu Picchu here in our region. Okay, those kind of elements constructed by the man, that they are super iconic, super famous in the world. Yeah, so that refers to landmark. Okay, a country whose design you're admiring, an everyday object you own that you think has a beautiful design. It's all regarding to that, right? They are mentioning a lot about design. So aesthetically, right? Physically, when you observe it, that is what you like, what attracts your attention. An object you would like to own that you think has a beautiful design. The difference, the object that you own, you have that object. And in here, an object that you want to have, yeah, but you admire the design. Well, this one is kind of old nowadays. A DVD cover, film poster, or book cover that you think has a great design. Okay, that is what you find in this section. Okay, in the part of the speaking. Then let's continue on vocabulary. And speaking, we're gonna leave it by later. So in section 6, that is vocabulary, what we are going to observe is activity 6A. And you have an audio track to follow up on the activities. So let's take a look at activity 6A. Match a noun from column A with a noun from column B to make compound nouns. An example, or you have a town. So town, with which one will be match from all these options? What it sounds good. In town,
hall.
very good. Exactly. In town, we're going to use that one, town hall. What about speed? What it sounds good with a speed, matching and making a new noun, right? Obviously.
Pitch.
Speed pitch, no.
Camera.
Exactly. That is the word for what we have in Spanish, right? Radares,
Okay.
fotorradares, a speed camera. Then we get book. What we match book with? The place where you put the books.
Hall.
Book picture.
Nope. Another
Case.
case. Bookcase, un librero. Yep. Then we have profile.
Picture.
Profile picture, exactly. For the social media, right? Then we have sun.
Glasses.
Glass.
Good, exactly. Sunglasses, gafas. Class,
Mate.
Mate.
good. Classmate, compañero de clase. And finally, obviously, the one that is missing, football pitch. El campo de fútbol. Football pitch. Yep, with the letter P. I finished my attempt on this one. Let me check what we got, if we have to make any corrections, and there you have it. Yep. Match a noun from column A, and you are going to form. You have town and hall, but when you have town hall, el municipio. Yep, town hall. Speed and camera, each one different meanings, but when you have them together, it's equivalent for us radares, fotorradares, the speed camera. Then you have book and case, the place where you put the books, un librero, bookcase. Profile picture, profile and picture is la foto de perfil. Sun and glasses, together, gafas. Class and mate. This word mate, if you use it alone, is similar to buddy, to friend. Yep. When you find the equivalent of pana, there you have it, mate. But when you use it with class, classmate, compañero de clase. I use it with work, workmate, compañero de trabajo. Yep, in that way. And the last one, pitch, es un campo. Para deportes grandes al aire libre. That's why they use it, football pitch. Okay. With this, I go to your results. Let's find out how we're doing. Excellent. I got already 9 attempts. That's great. Perfect. Let's wait a couple of minutes for our classmates to finish on this. We got it up to there, so let's continue. Yep. Going back just to check, always going back to the main page. And we are in the section of vocabulary. What we have, we just work on 6A, match a noun from the column, and now we're gonna get to this one. Try to answer all the question in 3 minutes with compound nouns. So as usual, please wait a little moment that I work on it with your help, and then try your attempts. Yep. So let me open the activity. And let's see. These are the words that we have. Remember that we only have 3 minutes. Take a look at the meaning only in this part. Tennis court, green tone, parking fine, multa de parqueo, parking fine. Fine is that, has that meaning as well. Boarding pass, el ticket de abordaje. The ground floor, el piso, ¿no? El primer piso, the ground floor. Cash machine. How you interpret cash machine. what it sounds like, cash machine. Then you have science fiction, state school, traffic jam, memory stick, sport hall.
Number one, cash machine.
Cash machine, exactly. Any ideas what it sounds like for you? If you have to decide on it, cash machine.
And money.
Related to money, exactly. Where you can take money out. Yep. So number one, cash machine. Number two, what you need to have before you can get on a plane.
Boarding pass.
Boarding pass.
Perfect, boarding pass. What might you have to pay if you park in a bus lane? You got the boarding pass, the parking fine. Yep. Well, in my case, for the time, but take a look at the words. Yep. Number one, cash machine. Number two, boarding pass. Number three, you have to pay if you got in the bus lane. It's like here, the cars, when they go into the lane of Metrovia, they have to pay something, right? Parking fine. In here, parking, but it's parking fine. Number four, what should you put on when you get into a car? Seat belt, cinturón de seguridad, seat belt. What do you call a long line of cars that can move? When you have a lot of cars and they don't move, traffic jam. ¿Sí? Traffic jam. Embotellamiento. Tráfico, mucho tráfico, yep. 6, what do you need to book? Book, reservar. If you want to play tennis with someone, tennis court. La cancha de tenis, court. 7, where do people go if they want to watch a basketball or handball match? That is a sports hall. Un centro de deportes, una arena de deportes, a sports hall. 7. 8, what do you call the noise a phone makes? Ringtone. Number 9, what kind of books or films are about the future? Science fiction, ciencia ficción, science fiction. What do you call a school which is paid by the government? Remember, this is British English, right? So that's why they put here a state school. Sometimes we put it like, or we describe it like public school as well. Yeah, a state school. Una escuela del gobierno, una escuela estatal. If you're in a lift and you press G, where do you want to go? You go to the ground floor. And 12, what device do you use when you want to transfer files from one computer to another? The memory stick, the flash memory, the USB memory. Yep. That is what they refer to, memory stick. So there you have from number 1 until number 12. Let me take a look at your results. I got 5 attempts already. I need 11 at least. So let's wait a couple of minutes for our classmates to finish on this. Okay, with that, we finished the activities on 10A. So we move to 10B, that is the last unit that we get in this module. Yep. Let me check in here with you. This is 10B. What we are going to have is question tags in the grammar. The vocabulary is related to crime. and the pronunciation is the intonation in question text. So obviously question text that we have to cover before in the grammar section. Yep. So you get vocabulary related to crime. And here you see some. We're gonna have an article. We have the listening section, then we go up to the grammar. But let's take a look what order we have in here in 10B. Yep. In 10B, we're gonna start with the section of vocabulary. For that, let's take a look at here. Yep. Let me open up for you where we have most of it. In here, they mention is that the vocabulary crime, an example, you have detectives, evidence, murder, murderer, proof, solve, suspects, victims, and witnesses. Questions about the vocabulary that you see in there, in this word bank? Any word that is not clear, that you don't know the meaning? Take a look, please. Detectives, proof, evidence, solve, murder, suspects, murderer, victims, and witnesses.
No, mister.
Thank you, Ms. Palacios, for the confirmation. I assume the others also know all the words, right? The ones that are in here. Yep. As a first part related once again to the vocabulary. Yep. So let's take a look what we got on the platform. We're gonna start on activity 1B, vocabulary, once again related to crime. So match the words and definitions. Help me out first on my attempt, and then you have your time for it. Yep. Related to the words that we just covered, so we get, it's a noun, sustantivo, right? Police officers who investigate crimes.
Detective.
Thank you, Ms. Fierro. Detectives, so we go in there. Number 2, it's a noun. People who see something which has happened and then tell others.
Witnesses.
Witnesses, testigos, yep, witnesses. 3, people who are hurt or killed by somebody in a crime.
Victims.
Murder.
Victims.
Excellent, thank you so much to the ones that cooperate. Number 4, a person who plans and kills another person.
Murderer.
Murder.
Very good, murderer, good. 5, the crime of killing a person illegally and deliberately.
Murder.
Murder.
Nice. 6, the facts, signs which tell you who committed the crime.
Evidence.
Sorry. Evidence, okay, I place it here, evidence. 7, people who are thought to be guilty of a crime. You believe they are guilty for a crime.
Suspects.
Good option. Let's take a look. Suspects. 8, a mystery. Better to find the correct answer to why something happened.
Solve.
Okay. Proof. And the last one, obviously, use faces and evidence to show something is true.
Solve.
So on that one we put solve. Okay, let's take a look what we got with those recommendations. Only one change, the last two. Yep. In number 8, to find the correct answer, that one is solved. And number 9, use face as an evidence. That one is proof. Yep. So number 1, detectives. Number 2, witnesses. Number 3, victims. Number 4, murderer. Number 5, murder. Number 6, evidence. 7, suspects. 8, solve. And 9, proof. Yep. There you have it for a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to proceed to check your results. Okay. So I check your results. Let's see what we get. Excellent, good number, 9. I need 2 more, 10, perfect. I need 1 person more, and then we have the attempts complete, okay? So we got a couple of minutes, so we can wait for all our classmates, or most of us, to finish on this one. Perfect, we can continue. Going back to the main page, remember we just started Unit 10B, and we are in the section of vocabulary, finished the first activity, 1B. Let's take a look at next activity, 1D, tell us to read who was Jack the Ripper and complete the gaps with the words. Who was Jack the Ripper is or refers to this part. So here, especially for me, I got it in Zoom in. Yeah, this is the article they refer to. Who was Jack the Ripper? One of the great unsolved mysteries of all time is that of Jack the Ripper. The words you're gonna complete are the ones that we have here on the left. Detectives, evidence, murderer, proof, solve, suspects, victims, and witnesses. Yep. So with those, we are going to complete these spaces. In the autumn of 1888, a brutal walked the dark, foggy streets of London, terrorizing the inhabitants of the city. They were all women, and the police seemed powerless to stop the murders. There were no to the crimes, so the police had no idea what the murder looked like. Panic and fear among Londoners was increased by a letter sent to Scotland Yard by the murderer. In the letter, he made fun of the police attempts to catch him and promised to kill again. It finished, yours truly, Jack the Ripper. This was the first of many letters sent to the police. The murders continued, 7 in total. But in November, they suddenly stopped. 3 months after they had first begun. Jack the Ripper was never caught, and for more than a century, historians, writers, and have examined and tried to discover and space his identity. Hundreds of articles and books have been written and many films made about the murders. But the question, who was Jack the Ripper, has remained unanswered. There have been plenty of, including a doctor, a businessman, a painter, and even a member of the royal family. The American crime writer Patricia Cornwell tried to the real-life murder mystery of Jack the Ripper. After spending a considerable amount of time and money on her investigation and analyzing DNA samples, Cornwell thought she had proved who Jack the Ripper really was. However, other experts disagree with her, and a new theory has recently been put forward. So this is the article about, obviously, Jack the Ripper. That is infamous person in the history of London. He was a murderer, but as you heard from the article, there are many theories, many suspects, but they haven't solved it yet. Yep, they haven't solved it yet. So with that information, let's go to the platform and let's see what we get. Activity 1D in the section of vocabulary. Activity 1D. So let me open that up. And let's take a look. I preview my quiz. I start on my attempt. And here you have it. Suspects, sospechosos, prove, probar, solve, resolver, murderer, asesino, evidence, evidencia, witnesses, testigos, victims, víctimas, and detectives, the same word, right? Detectives. So let's see what we get. In the autumn of 1888, a brutal, which one would you choose for that space?
Murderer.
Exactly, very good. A brutal murder walked the dark, foggy streets of London, terrorizing the inhabitants of the city. The were all women.
Victims.
The victims. And the police seemed powerless, to stop the murders. There were no to the crimes. So there were nobody see anything. So what word you use?
Witness.
Exactly, thank you. So we got in here, there were no witnesses. We continue, right? And we get to Jack the Ripper was never caught, and for more than a century, historians, writers, and somebody that investigates something.
Detectives.
Detectives.
Exactly. And detectives have examined the detectives, what they look for, what they examine.
Evidence.
Okay. The evidence, and try to discover, and when you want something to be real, and
Maybe suspects.
in this space, and prove his identity.
Okay.
And prove his identity. And then comes the one that you mentioned. There have been plenty of suspects. So ha habido muchos sospechosos. Yeah, plenty of suspects. And finally, the one missing, solved. There you have it. So in the spaces, we're in order. We go with murderer, victims, witnesses, detectives, evidence, proof, suspects, and solve. With those words, we complete. Yeah. Take a look. Murderer, victims, witnesses, and on the other part, detectives, evidence, proof, suspects, and solve. With that information, I go to your results. So starting now, we got the 10 minutes. We continue, we have all the attempts. I mean 9, obviously. So we can move on. Yep. I go back to our main page. We just finished 1D. Remember, we started the unit 10B. You got 1D. Let's get to 1E, the last activity and vocabulary. Read the article again and find the answer to these questions. Here you have the article, and they are making these questions. So when and where did the murders take place? And in the article, it begins with that, right? 1888 in London. So we go like the first, in London in 1888. The second question, how many murders were they? So let's take a read at the article, and let's find out how many murders.
7.
Okay, so we answer there were 7. How long did the murders go on for? Like, ¿cuánto duraron?
Three months.
So they went on for 3 months. Very good. They went on for 3 months. Who are the main suspects? A doctor, a businessman, a painter, and a member of the royal family. So those are the suspects: a doctor, a businessman, a painter, and a member of the royal family. Let me see. What does Patricia Cornwell usually do? She usually writes about crime. She usually writes about crime. And the last one, how did she try to solve the mystery?
Analyzing DNA.
Excellent. By analyzing DNA samples, muestras de ADN, DNA samples. So there you have number 1 in London, 1888. How many murders? 7. How long did the murders go on for? 3 months. Who are the main suspects? A doctor, a businessman, a painter, and a member of a royal family. What does Patricia Cornwell usually do? She usually writes about crime. And how did she try to solve it? by analyzing DNA samples. There you have the answer. It's going to be there for a couple of seconds, and then I check on your results. I go to your results. I got 8 attempts. We need some more to have complete number of attempts. And as you finish, I can check. We're gonna wait some minutes for all our classmates to finish on this. Okay, we're going back to the main room. We just finished an activity 1A that was related to vocabulary. That was the last one of vocabulary. Now we get into the section of listening. On listening, we're gonna start with 2A. Now listen to the first part of an interview with a retired police inspector who is an expert on the Jack Ripper. Complete the information about the suspect. So let's listen to the track. Let's see what we got.
.35.
Good morning, and thank you for coming, Mr. Morton. Or should it be Inspector Morton? You were a detective with Scotland Yard, weren't you?
Yes, that's right. For 25 years. I retired last year.
People today are still fascinated by the identity of Jack the Ripper, around 125 years after the crimes were committed. It's incredible, isn't it?
Well, it's not really that surprising. People are always interested in unsolved murders, and Jack the Ripper has become a sort of cult horror figure.
Who are the main suspects?
Well, there are a lot of them, but probably the best known are Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's grandson.
There you have the word to complete the first space. Queen Victoria.
Grandson.
Exactly. Grandson. Nieto. Yeah. So Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's grandson. That they are talking about they are talking about all the suspects they have. This is one of them. When they refer to the royal family, there you have it. Yep. Let's continue listening to it.
The artist Walter Sickert and a Liverpool cotton merchant called James Maybrick. And recently we've heard about another possible suspect, and Jack the Ripper has become a sort of cult horror figure.
Who are the main suspects?
Well, there are a lot of them, but probably the best known are Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's grandson, the artist Walter Sickert.
So Walter Sickert, what is the profession of him?
Artist.
Excellent, artist. Mhm.
Grandson, the artist Walter Sickert, and a Liverpool cotton merchant called James Maybrick. And recently we've heard about another possible suspect, a German sailor called Karl Feigenbaum.
With the second part of the track, we complete. The first name of Maybrick is
James.
James. So here we go. And here at the bottom, Karl Feigenbaum, that is a... Did you listen to his profession?
No, I can't.
Let's listen this last part.
Heard about another possible suspect, a German sailor called Karl Feigenbaum.
A sailor.
Sailor.
Very good. So there we have, yep. Grandson, James, artist, and sailor. Let's see if they take it as it is. There you have it. Those are by the time, the suspects that the police get. Yep. Prince Albert, James Maybrick, Walter Sickert, Karl Feigenbaum. Yep, sailor, artist. There you have it, okay? So I go to your results. We're gonna wait a couple of minutes for most of our classmates to finish on this activity. Okay, time to continue. So going back, working on 10A. We just started on listening section with the activity 2A. So let's listen up on 2V. Yep. Listen to the second part of the interview and mark the sentences true or false.
5.36.
Patricia Cornwell, in her book Jack the Ripper, Case Closed, said that she had identified the murderer and that she was convinced that Jack the Ripper was in fact Walter Sickert, the painter. What evidence did she put forward to support this claim?
Well, she mainly used DNA analysis. She actually bought a painting by Sickert at great expense, and she cut it up to get the DNA from it. People in the art world were furious.
I can imagine.
And then she compared the DNA from the painting with DNA taken from the letters that Jack the Ripper sent to the police. Patricia Cornwell says that she's 99% certain that Walter Sickert was Jack the Ripper.
But you don't think she's right, do you?
No, I don't. I don't think her scientific evidence is completely reliable. And there's a lot of evidence which says that Sickert was in France, not London, when some of the women were killed.
What about James Maybrick? Do you think he was the murderer?
Well, somebody found a diary which is supposed to be his, where he admits to being Jack the Ripper. But nobody has been able to prove that the diary is genuine, and personally, I don't think he was the murderer.
And Prince Albert, the Queen's grandson?
Well, this for me is the most ridiculous theory. I can't seriously believe that a member of the royal family could be a serial murderer. In any case, Prince Albert was in Scotland when at least 2 of the murders were committed.
There's been another recent theory, hasn't there, that Jack the Ripper was German?
Yes, this is a new theory based on new research by a Jack the Ripper expert called Trevor Marriott, who's in fact another retired detective like me. He believes that Karl Feigenbaum, a German sailor, was responsible for some, if not all, the 5 murders. Feigenbaum was executed in the electric chair in New York in 1894 for the brutal murder of a woman. And after his death, his lawyer said that he was convinced that his client was Jack the Ripper. Marriott has discovered that Feigenbaum was a member of the crew of a ship that was in London at the time of the murders, so it's perfectly possible that he could have been the Ripper.
Do we know what he looked like?
Well, there are no photos of Feigenbaum, but Marriott has made a computer image of him based on descriptions from when he was in prison.
So, who do you think the murderer was?
I can't tell you because I don't know.
So you don't think we'll ever solve the mystery?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think one day the mystery will be solved. Some new evidence will appear, and we'll be able to say that the case of Jack the Ripper is finally closed. But at the moment, it's still a mystery, and people like a good mystery.
Okay, with that audio, we can answer to this one. Remember, true or false, right? The first, art lovers were angry with Cornwall. That one we're gonna mark as true. There is a letter that some people think Maybrick wrote confessing to the crimes. There is a letter, but not about this person. This one is false. She took DNA samples from a letter. She took a DNA sample from a letter. No, she took it from the paintings, from one painting that she bought. Inspector Morton thinks that Prince Albert was a serial killer. No, actually, he laughed about the idea that he believes is impossible. There is evidence that Secret was abroad at the time of some murders. There is evidence that Seeker was abroad. That one is true. The inspector doesn't want to say who thinks the murderer is. That is false. He doesn't want to say because he said he doesn't know. Yep. So it's not like he doesn't want to talk about it. No, actually he has no idea. He doesn't think the mystery will ever be solved. No, he trusts in the police, he trusts in the technology as it appears. Trevor Merritt found that Feigenbaum had traveled to London at the time of the murders. Yes, the German suspect, they identified that during the time of the murders, he was at London. Karl Feigenbaum was executed in London for another murder. No, not in London. And Cornwall's evidence is mainly scientific. Yes, because she's working with the DNA, right? DNA is the equivalent of ADN. In Spanish, ADN, in English, DNA. There you have it. So let me take a look at my assumptions to see if I got a good score. There you have it. I leave it there for a minute. The last column is only to mark that is the right answer. So pay attention to the first two, true or false, right? True or false. The last tick that you see is because it's the right answer. So pay attention to true or false column. Okay, now I go to your results. I got 9 attempts already. Thank you to the ones working along the class. Yep. And we're gonna wait a couple of minutes for most of our classmates to finish. So we're gonna stop on activity here, obviously activity 2B, unit 10B. So we got up to listening. Next Saturday, we're gonna finish the unit. And then we have the checkup of your grades. Yep, and little follow-ups on your activities, as well as please remember to work on Altisha to complete it. That must be completed before the exam. Yep, be careful on that. Thanks a lot for your time today, and I'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you, Mister.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Mr.
Mr.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.